Today I'm going to share with you about the City of Columbus ARP Business Grant Program. The COVID-19 Small Business Economic Recovery Grant Program. The Columbus Consolidated Government has partnered with the Greater Columbus, Georgia Chamber of Commerce to develop and administer a business relief grant program. The City of Columbus ARP Business Grant Program will assist small businesses in Columbus that have been negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Funding for this grant program is provided under the American Rescue Plan Act through the U.S. Department of Treasury. Up to $40,000 in reimbursable expenses for small businesses with less than 100 employees. Assistance is in the form of a grant with no repayment required. ARP Business Grant Program funding must be used for rent, mortgage, utility, and operational retrofitting. Up to $3 million is available for the ARP Business Relief Grant Program. The application will be accepted until all available funds are expended. Applications will be accepted on a rolling basis until all available funds are committed to eligible businesses and expenses. To be considered for the ARP Business Relief Grant Program, a business must meet all eligibility listed below. For-profit businesses that are not publicly traded, partially owned by a hedge fund, or a corporate-owned franchise. For-profit businesses that have a 2020 and 2021 City of Columbus business license. The 2022 business license must also be in process before any grant reimbursements are remitted. For-profit businesses that are in good standing with the City of Columbus with no outstanding debts or obligations due to the city. To be considered for the ARP Business Relief Grant Program, a business must meet all eligibility listed below. For-profit business located in the City of Columbus with less than 100 employees at the time of application to the Small Business Economic Recovery Grant Program. For-profit business with a physical presence of an organization or business in a building or other structure located in Muskogee County. Home-based businesses and multiple independent business locations are ineligible. For-profit business must demonstrate ongoing business operations and existence before July 1st of 2020. Existence shall be established with the issuance of a business license from the City of Columbus prior to July 1st, 2020. To be considered for the ARP Business Relief Grant Program, a business must meet all eligibility listed below. For-profit businesses that are not in bankruptcy, current with all local, state, and federal taxes, fees, and be in compliance with all City of Columbus business obligations, including but not limited to license, insurance, tax obligations, and zoning land use requirements. For-profit business that is operational at the time the grant is awarded. If the business temporarily closed due to the pandemic, the business must be opened prior to the grant being awarded. Application process. The ARP Business Relief Grant Program application will be available online at www.columbusga.gov/ARP. Application should be only submitted by the owner, partner, or authorized corporation member. An applicant is 51% plus majority owner of business. Incomplete applications will not be considered for funding. In addition to the application, the following documents are required. Completed W-9 form for business, doing business as, tax ID number, and mailing address for grant check must match entries in the general information section. E-Verify affidavit. Businesses must submit a signed and notarized E-Verify affidavit regardless of the number of employees. Valid state of Georgia issued photo ID of business owner. Copy of current 2020 and 2021 City of Columbus business license. 2022 business license must also be in process before any grant reimbursements are remitted. In addition to the application, the following documents are required: bills, invoices for expenses meeting eligible reimbursable COVID-19 expenses along with proof of payment, business operating agreement, copy of 2020 annual registration certificate from the Georgia Secretary of State, copy of current lease rental agreement for business space, business financials. For individuals, sole proprietor certificate, 2020 and 2021 Schedule C, Form 1040. Profit and loss statement for period in which expenses occurred. For corporations, 2020 and 2021 corporation income tax return, Form 1120 or Form 1120S. Profit and loss statement for period in which expenses occurred. For partnerships, 2020 and 2021 return of partnership income, Form 1065. Profit and loss statement for period in which expenses occurred. Applications will be reviewed by a selection committee convened by the Greater Columbus, Georgia Chamber of Commerce in consultation with the City of Columbus for threshold requirements and needs evaluation. The application will be scored on a pass-fail basis related to the requirements provided in these guidelines. Applicants recommended for funding will be contacted by the City of Columbus to execute their written agreement, which will allow for the distribution of funds. Reimbursable expense information. To alleviate documentation and tracking of this grant, the City of Columbus ARP Business Relief Grant Program seeks to reimburse awarded firms for expenses incurred between July 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2022. The categories of eligible expenses that the City of Columbus ARP Business Relief Grant Program can reimburse awarded firms are: space costs for your business, rent, mortgage, lease, and insurance cost, utility cost, electric, gas, water, internet, and phone service directly supporting awarded firms' operations. Operational retrofitting includes building modification expenses to support enhanced business persistence. Documentation should include an invoice from a licensed inspector, proof of payment, permit receipts if applicable, as well as proof of occupancy certification. Reimbursable expense information. To receive payment under the City of Columbus ARP Business Relief Grant Program, awarded firms must show documentation of the eligible expenses listed on the previous slide they wish to be reimbursed, up to the maximum award that they received. In addition, awarded firms must show documentation demonstrating that they have paid the cost associated with the eligible expense. Documenting for expenses. Space cost. Awarded firms seeking reimbursement for space costs must provide a copy of their rental, lease, or mortgage agreement that clearly states the time period that they are responsible for these costs and what the monthly costs for these expenses are for their location of operation. Self-rental expenses are ineligible for reimbursement. For this grant, self-rentals include, but are not limited to, businesses, property owners that rent or lease property to another business that is also owned or operated by the same owner, stakeholders of the business that is seeking grant program funds. Utility cost. Awarded firms seeking reimbursement for utility costs must provide copies of the bills from the utility provider that clearly associates with the firm and their location of operation. The bills must also clearly state the amount due from the firm and be separated from any non-business related expenses. Operational retrofitting cost. Awarded firms seeking reimbursement for operational retrofitting cost must provide copies of an invoice from a licensed contractor, any applicable lien waivers, proof of payment, permit receipts, if applicable, as well as proof of occupancy certification. For the expenses listed, in addition to the documentation requested, the City of Columbus requires a demonstration of proof of cost incurred. Awarded firms must also provide proof that their firm paid the outstanding amount for these expenses. This documentation can be in the form of a canceled check, not a check stub, bank statement clearly stating the payment to the vendor, or an itemized invoice receipt that is marked paid and signed by the vendor if cash payments were remitted. Documentation must be accompanied with an attestation from the awardee explaining their method of payment. New vendor documentation. In addition to the documentation, the City of Columbus will require some basic vendor information to process your payment. These documents include the following items: current company W-9 form, copy of 2020 and 2021 City of Columbus business license. 2022 business license must also be in process before any grant reimbursements are remitted. Questions? Please contact Robert Scott, Community Reinvestment Director at the City of Columbus, or Megan Richardson, Senior Director of Economic Development at the Greater Columbus, Georgia Chamber of Commerce.